Okay, so now we're going to actually build the templates for our grid view, so we can say what fields that we want to show and what fields are going to be editable. We're also going to add the methods here to edit and update from the grid view. But the first thing that we want to do is to select the grid view in the design or the source, and then we're going to select the property that auto generates, if it's not accessibility, you should find it in the behavior column, and there is a property that says auto generate columns. Make sure that's selected to false because you don't want them to auto generate. We're going to specify which columns we want to be generated. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add a columns attribute to the grid view. So find columns and enter that in. And within columns we're going to add different template fields. So if we go and you select ASP template field, and we're going to give it a heading, so we do this by specifying header text. So the first field that we're going to set up is the product name, so give it a heading product name. Now, so far we've just got a heading. What we want to add now is what's known as an item template. This is basically just going to be what is shown whenever somebody's viewing the cart. So all we simply want here is a label control, which is going to show the name of the cart. So if you put in ASP label, we're just going to add a few attributes to that. First of all, we're going to add the ID, and we're going to call this label product name, or whatever you think you would like to call it, if it makes sense. You need to make sure it's a server control, so put in the attribute run at equals server. And then lastly, we're going to put in the text field. Now what we're doing here is we're going to make sure that this binds to the data that's held in our data table. So the syntax for this, write text equals, then I want you to put a single quote, then put a less than symbol, followed by the percentage sign. Now these symbols here specify that server code is going to be written, so it's going to be inserted some code from the server, and the hash symbol there tells the page that's going to be data bound. Now we're going to use the expression eval. You could use bind either, they do the same thing. And what we're going to write in here is whatever you call the fields in your data table that holds the product name, and mine is called product name. Then just want you to finish the label, and now what we have is a grid view that only displays the product name, and that's it. So I'm going to just test this out to make sure my syntax is correct before I move on. So we're going to debug. So if we debug or view browser, it doesn't matter. Remember to log in or this won't work. View the product, add it to the cart. Yeah, this is what I expected so far. I've only set up one template, and it's called product 2. I expect it to break when I click edit because I haven't done the row handling for that yet. So that's fine, we can close that. Now I'm going to set up for the product name an edit template field as well. Now, we don't want users to be able to edit anything apart from the quantity when they're changing the items in their cart. So basically, the edit template is going to be exactly the same as the item template. It's going to be a label, which means they can't control it. So set up an edit item template, and then basically copy and paste the line. And I mean, if you wanted, you could call, yeah, just leave that, that's fine as it is. The edit item and item template are never going to be shown at the same time, so they can have the same ID. Now we're going to set up another template field. Now I'm going to copy and paste this because I'm now going to specify one for the description, and it's going to be very similar. The only thing I'm going to change is change the label to and this should say obviously product. So the header field should say, instead of product name, product description, or even just description, whatever you want. The ID should be label product description, and the binding field should be eval product description. And now we have a grid view, which is going to display name and description. We also want price and quantity in our grid view. So the next thing that I'm going to put in is I'm going to do another template field, and this time we're going to call it product price, or price even, and whatever you want. So I'm just going to change this label product price. Now what did I call this when I added it to the cart? I think I called it price. If you can't remember, go back to product details and the new data column, I called it price. So this is what we need to call it here, so that was right. And just make sure that the label refers to the price, the variation refers to the price, and the header text of the new field is price. Now at the minute this isn't going to print out the price in the currency format. It's just going to print out the number, say 9.99. What we really want is we really want the pound sign here. So basically what I want you to do is to type in string dot format open brackets, then we're going to put in the formatting expression for currency. So put in double quote followed by a curly bracket followed by 0 followed by a small c, then close your curly brackets, close your quotes, put a comma, and then at the end we need another bracket. This is going to be the same here. So we're going to put that there. So now we've got the name, description, price. So one more field that we're going to put in, and this is going to be quantity. So I'm just going to say here quantity. I think it's overkill to call it product price. I'm just going to have the header say price, and up here I'm just going to call it description as well, rather than product description. Now we're going to call this label quantity, and the quantity doesn't need to be formatted, so we'll get rid of all this string format, and eval quantity. Now the difference here when we go to set up the edit item template, we do want to allow the users to change the quantity. So instead of putting in a label, what we're going to do is we're going to put in a text box. So ASP text box. Now ID, this time we're going to call it text box quantity or TXT quantity, whatever you prefer. I'm going to be lazy and just type in text quantity. And here we're going to type in again run@ equals server needs to be recognized by the server, and we don't need to give this an initial value. Oh, we could, yeah. So let's put down the initial value, and this time I'm going to use bind, which allows us to change it, and hopefully there's no mistakes here. So have I got everything I need for the shopping cart? I've got the name, the description, the price, and the quantity. Yeah, that's not bad. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a label underneath the grid view, and let's view the toolbox in order to do this. We're going to add a label which is going to show the total price. In fact, we're going to add two labels. One label is going to have, it's actually just not going to change. It's going to say total. Then the label beside it, I'm going to call it label display total price. And later on we're going to bind this. Oh, these were meant to be outside the grid view. They will not display inside, outside the grid view and in the content. Sorry, and I've done this wrong. So I'll call this label total price. And the ID of this one is label display total price. So that text is going to say